How's it? Today we are learning about rule of thirds and how to use that in Photoshop. Let's get started and hit Command N, and we're going to do a new custom document, and we're going to make this 6 inches by 6 inches, and we're going to call this ROT for rule of thirds, and we're going to hit OK. Then if you hit Command K as in kite and go to guides, grid, and slices, we're going to change grid lines every 100 and change that to percent. Then you can change to color, kind of like a bright color or a dark color, depending on your mood. I'm going to choose something darker. There we go. Okay and okay. So now if you notice that we have a grid lines and we have our rule of thirds, and right here is our focal points where we want the intersection of the vertical rule of third, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3 horizontally and vertically. We also can use rulers. If you, by the way, if you don't see these grid lines, go to View, Show Grid Lines, or Command apostrophe. Okay, and next we are going to, if you hit Command R, okay, for ruler, you can actually put these rulers to kind of help you. So for example, if you have some text, you know, that you want to so like the big game, okay, and I want to fit some text, you know, inside those rulers, or sorry, the guides. I can use this as a guide, you know, to fill that, okay. And oh, by the way, did you hear about the joke about the 13-inch ruler? Never mind. It's too long to tell you. So, but I can tell you, I know the secret how to get straight A's at school, like straight A's. Just use a ruler, and then you can make the A a lot easier if you just use a ruler. But yeah, it's kind of fun. All right, enough of that stuff. We don't need our rulers, so you can hit Show, and then also make sure the grid is there. Guides is what those fluorescent blue things are. If you want to hide those guides, you can show there. If you want to take it out again, okay, notice you can just grab it from the sides, either horizontally and vertically, to kind of like map it out. And then again, to hide it, I can put hide the guides, or Command colon. What I'm going to do is insert my first image. So I'm going to show you an image that won't work. I'm just going to click and drag this image right in here. And I'm going to hit Command T to transform, and hold down Shift. You always have to hold down Shift to resize. You may not just drag from the corners and squish it, or vertical. Try to keep the ratio. And I'm going to put it, the rule of third right at the hat. Okay, right there at the hat. Sorry, not vertical, but the focal point rule of third. And if you have a hard time seeing the guide, okay, you can actually come up here to your ruler and click and drag it down to that line. Okay, and click and drag it down to the other line. And if you made a mistake, so if I go up here, okay, what you can do to get rid of the guide is click the guide and just drag it off, and it disappears. Okay, so if you want, you could just go in here and add it to make it a little bit more obvious. Okay, right about there. Also, notice how it's not exact. If you hit Command plus and kind of zoom in, okay, and then it allows you to get more exactly on that point. Okay, and then I'm going to do this one as well. Okay, so I'm going to go in here and put my focal point rule of third there, hit Command T and transform. But if you notice, I don't have vertical rule of thirds or horizontal rule of thirds in this image. Like it's a little bit hard to have. So I have the grass here, but it's not a rule of third. like a horizontal rule of third. It's only half. So I need to not use this image. So I'm going to click on that and hit delete. Okay, and I'm going to keep looking for an image that will work. And I'm going to use this camera guy. Now you may think, oh, that's symmetry, or I don't see any rule of thirds. But you can always resize. Okay, you can always resize. So I'm going to hit Command minus and zoom out and really drag that like so. And then if you notice, the focal point is the lens. So I'm going to put the lens right on that focal point of a third. If you see, I'm almost there for this vertical rule of third. So I'm going to make it even bigger. Okay, and notice you want right about there. So you see how most of the building fills the rule of third point. Okay, and then that's focal point rule of third. So what I would do is use my text tool, okay, and I would put vertical rule of third. And you can't really see it, so let me change to a font that you can see. And there we go, you can see this one. And my text, maybe it's a little bit too big. Okay. And I'm gonna move it, there we go. And just so that you can see it, we're gonna stroke it. So hit the function, okay? Or if you double click the layer, or if you hit F of X function, you can hit stroke, okay? And if it's a light color, you'll want like a black. See how now it's a black? Or if it's a light color, you want, or the opposite. If it's a dark color, you want a bright one. Okay, so it says vertical, ROT is rule of third, okay? And all the pictures are gonna have focal point rule of third as well. Then if you hold down the option key, okay, hold it down and click on your text, okay, and then drag, it duplicates it. Hit T for text and double click, and then you're gonna put your name. So if your name is Kevin Lee, you're gonna put Kevin Lee, okay, and then I'm going to click and highlight the text. I'm gonna change the text color to something else and put it somewhere like that. Okay, and also for text, if you go to Window and then you go to your paragraph, window paragraph, you'll notice this is where the text options are. If you hit character, okay, and then if I double click on Kevin Lee for the text, you can actually change. So this is like the kerning or the spacing. You can subtract it, so you notice there's less space in between, okay? And then you can also make it wider. This is also where if you want it more bold, italicized, things like that. So feel free to play around with some of these text effects and make them the way that you want them to look for your text. All right, once you're done with that, you're gonna save it. So you put file, save as, okay, and I'm gonna put vertical rule of third and save that as a JPEG. There you go, and hit save, and hit maximum. Actually, I don't need maximum. We're not going to print these. If it's just for the screen, you can just put medium is totally fine for that and hit OK. Next, I'm going to do my horizontal rule of thirds. And for horizontal rule of thirds, with our layers, we're going to create another picture. So I'm going to hit a new folder, and I'm going to call this vertical, ROT, rule of thirds. And I'm going to hold down shift, click on one layer, and hold down shift to highlight all layers, and drag all those layers into the vertical rule of third folder. So now you have that, and you have your background layer, which we don't really need. So, but you can keep it anyway, or you can also just hit delete. So I'm going to make a new folder. Actually, what you're going to do is take that folder and drag it into the duplicate. It's right next to the trash can. So it says vertical rule of third copy. We're going to call this horizontal rule of third. Okay, and in this one, we are going to, by the way, we're done with vertical rule of thirds. So we're going to hide it. We already saved it. We're done, right? Now let's go to our horizontal, and we're going to click on this image, and we don't need that image, so we can delete that image, right? And then we have our vertical rule of third, but it's not vertical anymore. Hit T for text, and we're going to call this horizontal rule of third. Okay, and now we're going to insert our picture for our horizontal rule of third. So go in there, I'm going to use this barn picture. And make sure you have the move tool, not the text tool. And I'm going to put the barn. Okay, and notice that this barn picture needs to be in the horizontal rule of thirds folder. So you can just click and drag it in there. But make sure you hit enter. Okay, so it's not highlighted, enter. And I can drag it in. And we need to move it down to the bottom layer of the folder. So hit command left bracket, and it kind of just moves it down. Okay. And then I'm going to hit, we're done with that. So I'm going to hit command T to transform. Hold on the shift key. And we're going to make it larger to fill the space. Now my rule of third point is that barn window that I'm going to use. So right about there, I'm going to hit command minus to kind of zoom out a little bit to make it easier to work with. So I can line it up right on there. I have to fill in the bottom. And almost there. And you can also use the arrow keys to be more precise, okay, to move it. So if you notice here, I'm going to hit enter. If you notice, right here is the kind of like the focal point, okay, and then notice the sky is the horizontal 1/3 and the green is the 2/3. So that works for me. I can't really see Kevin Lee that well, so I might come in here, change my there you go. And now I'm going to hit File, Save As, and we're going to call this horizontal rule of third, and we're going to call it save as a JPEG file, and hit save. That's good since we're not printing, and we're done. So I hope you learned a little bit more about rule of thirds and how to compose your pictures. Even if you maybe took the wrong picture, sometimes you can manipulate it so it follows the rule. So hope you had fun with that, and make sure you get straight A's with a ruler.